So Avengers Infinity War is out, and there are some great scenes of very powerful heroes, like Thor, Doctor Strange, and Scarlet Witch. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But that got me thinking, who is the most powerful Avenger? Who's the most powerful Guardian? Who is the most powerful hero in the MCU? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to rank all 30 heroes in the MCU. Let's get started. Now, in order to be included as a hero on this list, there are a couple of rules that we got to follow. First off, we're just including heroes from the movies. So as great as the Defenders are, or Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they won't be included on this list, because that would just take way too long. It's already going to be as long as it is. Secondly, the hero has to be an official member of a team, like the Avengers, Guardians, or the Revengers, or have appeared in 2 or more movies. We'll also be using the powers that we last saw them have. So a lot of these will be taken directly from Infinity War. So that means obviously spoilers from the movie. And this will all be based upon feats, or what they've actually done in the movies. Those are the rules. So let's get started. Starting off the list with M'Baku. Now, even though M'Baku is easily one of my favorite characters in Black Panther, he doesn't have a very impressive record fight-wise. He lost to T'Challa in the Ritual Duel, even though he did get some good hits in, and other than that, we've just seen him fighting against fodder like aliens or the Border Tribe. Plus, it doesn't help that the Jabari don't use vibranium technology like everyone else in Wakanda, and instead follow the old ways. So M'Baku is a great character, but the weakest hero. And don't you dare come at me and say that M'Baku isn't a true hero. He 100% is. For starters, he challenged T'Challa for the throne because he didn't think Wakanda was going down the right path. And even though he was going up against the main hero, he did it because he believed he was acting in Wakanda's best interest. Then when he discovered that T'Challa barely hanging on to life, he did everything he could to save his life, even though he could have used it as an opportunity to seize the throne. Then when Nakia, Shuri, Ramonda, and Ross showed up and literally offered M'Baku the heart-shaped herb and essentially the throne of Wakanda, so everything that he wanted at the beginning of the movie, he bows out and instead hands it over to T'Challa. He then goes on to protect T'Challa's mother and shows up with the Jabari tribe to fight with the Black Panther and help save Wakanda, and does the same thing again in Avengers Infinity War. He is 100% a hero.
You cannot talk! One more word, and I will feed you to my children. I'm kidding, we are vegetarians.
Coming in next is Shuri, Black Panther's sister. She's arguably the least skilled fighter on this list. But on the reverse side, is arguably the smartest character in the MCU. Her blasters are extremely powerful, as they were able to take out members of the Border Tribe and hurt both Killmonger and Corvus Glaive. But Killmonger and Corvus were able to power through and get to Shuri. At the end of the day, she's got great tech, but it's her lack of fighting skills and really lack of experience in battle that hurts her.
And what are these?
The real question is, what are those?
Nebula. Nebula is a cybernetic assassin, daughter of Thanos and the sister of Gamora. But she really hasn't done anything extremely impressive. She said that as children, Thanos would make her and Gamora fight. Yet Nebula was never able to win once, even with her cybernetic enhancements. She loses again to Gamora in the first Guardians. Then the only reason that she's able to take anyone down in Guardians 2 is by the element of surprise, as she shoots Yondu from behind and takes down Gamora when she was trying to help her. Nebula's durability and healing factor are her greatest assets. Overall, she just hasn't proven herself to be the best fighter.
I assure you, I am not as easy a mark as an old man without his magic stick or a talking woodland beast.
Hawkeye. Oh, good old Clint. You gotta love him. After all, he's decided that he's gonna use a bow and arrow, a medieval and archaic weapon, even though he knows there's better, more powerful stuff out there. Now, Hawkeye isn't really the best fighter. as he's lost almost every hand-to-hand fight that he's been in, even being taken down by Black Widow in Avengers while she was holding back and he was trying to kill her. And while it looked like he had the upper hand in their fight in Civil War, they were joking throughout it, and it wasn't really conclusive because Wanda interfered. Hawkeye's greatest asset is his unparalleled accuracy and his trick arrows, but as Loki and Black Panther have shown us, they can be caught. Of course, Clint is smart enough to use explosives, but even with that, he just really isn't the strongest hero.
Clearly retirement doesn't suit you. You got tired of shooting golf?
Well, I played 18, shot 18. Just can't seem to miss.
Rocket Raccoon. Here is one of my all-time favorite Guardians, and really, heroes in the MCU. I freaking love Rocket with his sarcastic humor, and even though he's got a tough exterior, he really does care about his friends and family. Plus, he carries around some of the most powerful weapons in the MCU, and is also a genius when it comes to constructing weapons on the fly. He's an expert planner, as seen when he takes out most of the Ravagers, but what's really holding him back is that he isn't exceptionally strong or tough, and isn't really a hand-to-hand fighter. If someone can get past his weapons, well then they can easily take him down.
I live for the simple things. Like how much this is gonna hurt.
Next up we got Black Widow. Natasha is a skilled fighter, as she's been able to easily defeat Chitauri aliens, Hydra agents, and Ultron robots. She's defeated Hawkeye, and fought against Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, Ant-Man, and Winter Soldier. Her Widow bites can cause some serious damage, and even held back Black Panther, and she's incredibly accurate with her pistols. However, Widow is just an expert assassin, and a normal human, so there's really only so high that you can get on this list.
Look, I really don't want to hurt you.
I wouldn't stress about it.
Okoye. Okoye is a freaking badass, and one of the greatest warriors that Wakanda has. However, we've mostly just seen her fighting against unnamed armies, and really the only important person she fought against was Killmonger, which was 4-on-1, and they all lost. Well, I guess she also fought against Proxima Midnight too, so we gotta include that. I would actually put her and Black Widow around the same in terms of fighting skill, and I could see either one of them winning in a one-on-one fight. What gives Okoye the edge, though, is her access to Wakandan technology. Her vibranium spear is surprisingly powerful, and she's incredibly skilled with it, and that weapon should allow her to take down powerful threats.
Would you kill me, my love?
For Wakanda? Without question.
Korg. I love Korg. I absolutely love him. I mean, who doesn't? He was one of the best parts of Thor Ragnarok after all. Now, Korg is a being made completely out of rocks, so you'd think that he would make him really tough. But it's actually debatable how tough that rock actually is, since another member of its race was destroyed by Thor with one strike from Mjolnir. However, it's safe to say that Korg is tougher than a normal human. But what is really going for him is his fighting experience. He was a gladiator in the Greymaster's arena, and since we know that killing is allowed inside the arena, it's safe to say that Korg was able to hold his own.
Piss off, Ghost!
He's freaking gone.
Drax. Now, Drax is strong and incredibly tough, so why does he rank so low on the list? Well, he just charges into situations and doesn't think at all. He charged Ronan twice and was humiliated both times. He didn't think and jumped headfirst into a giant monster and would have been killed if he had been alone. Then he did pretty much nothing against Thanos, which was particularly embarrassing since he spent years talking about how he was going to kill the Mad Titan. He's tough, but he's not very smart and hasn't shown exceptional fighting skills.
It's just a metaphor, dude.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
Winter Soldier. Bucky is the man, and as the Winter Soldier, he's an absolute beast. He made Cap really work for a victory in Winter Soldier, and has beat Black Widow, Sharon, Falcon, Tony, and put up a good fight against Black Panther. However, I would actually argue that Bucky is weaker when he isn't mind-controlled, since he isn't holding back or going all out. Black Panther almost killed him, Spider-Man beat him, but couldn't beat Cap, and even though he put up a good initial fight against Iron Man, Tony defeated him. Bucky, or the White Wolf, or whatever he goes by now, is great, but he just can't really be put higher on the list. But considering who else is left to come, this isn't a bad spot at all for Buck.
You remember that time we had to ride back from Rockaway Beach in the back of that freezer truck?
Was that the time you used our train money to buy hot dogs?
You blew $3 trying to win that stuffed bear for a redhead.
What was her name again?
Dolores. You called her Doc.
She's gotta be 100 years old right now.
So are we, pal.
Falcon. Oh, Falcon. This guy was one of the hardest ones to place on this list, because in terms of hand-to-hand skill, he's not particularly exceptional. But he never claimed to be a great fighter. Falcon's whole thing is his suit and the ability to fly. Now, if this was Winter Soldier, well, then Falcon will be a whole lot lower on this list, even with the wings. But ever since he became an Avenger, he received a major upgrade. He was able to hold his own against Iron Man and War Machine in the air during Civil War, and you could actually argue that he was able to defeat Spider-Man using his tech. Then in an Infinity War, he received another massive upgrade, and was able to help War Machine blow up those spinning wheels of death. Plus, Sam is incredibly agile in the air, and I would argue he's the best flyer in the MCU, even putting him above Iron Man or War Machine.
Don't say it. Don't you say it.
left.
Come on!
Mantis. And here we have another character who is surprisingly hard to place. Mantis. She isn't a fighter at all, is rather naive, and is essentially a big child. But she has one of the best powers in the entire MCU. Her control of empathy is something to behold, as she was able to put Ego to sleep, and even momentarily restrained Thanos with 4 Infinity Stones. Plus, all she has to do is touch someone, and she can instantly control them, like when she put Drax to sleep with 1 touch in Infinity War. However, what holds her back is that she just isn't a fighter, and has absolutely no fighting skill whatsoever.
You feel love?
Yeah, I feel a general unselfish love for just about everybody.
No. Romantic, sexual love.
No, I don't.
For her.
No, that is not. Okay.
She just told everyone your deepest, darkest secret.
Star-Lord. Before Infinity War, I would have put Star-Lord a lot lower on this list, excluding the time where he essentially became a god in Guardians 2. He just never really wowed me in terms of the fighting skill. But then it came Infinity War, and really, that one scene in particular, where him, Mantis, and Drax fight against Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. Drax is instantly taken down by the Cloak of Levitation. Mantis doesn't do a thing, and it's all up to Star-Lord to fight against both Iron Man and Spider-Man. And Peter does a surprisingly good job. He's agile, constantly flying around, and using unique and powerful tech to momentarily incapacitate both of these heroes. He even ends the fight by holding Peter prisoner. That really surprised me, and is the reason why he made it to this spot.
Star-Lord. Finally.
Gamora. Gamora is known as one of the most dangerous women in the universe in the comics for a reason. However, here in the MCU, she doesn't really live up to that name necessarily. She's beat Nebula in every single fight that they had except for one, and there you could say Nebula caught her by surprise. She was able to battle against Star-Lord, Rocket, and Groot. It was also the one assigned to defeat and kill the giant monster at the beginning of Guardians. But really, at the end of the day, she just hasn't done enough stuff to justify moving up further on this list.
Or you can dance.
I'm a warrior and an assassin. I do not dance.
Really? Well, on my planet, there's a legend about people like you. It's called Footloose. And in it, a great hero named Kevin Bacon. He teaches an entire city full of people with sticks up their butts that dancing, well, it's the greatest thing there is.
Who put the sticks up their butts?
What? No, that's just a...
That is cruel.
Just a phrase, people.
Yondu. Good old Yondu. The surprise hit of Guardians 2 in the MCU's Mary Poppins.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
He hasn't really shown that he's much of a hand-to-hand fighter. That's no problem for Yondu, considering he's got one of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, the Yaka arrow. By simply whistling, he was able to take down an entire ship of Ravagers in epic fashion. Yeah, Rocket and Groot helped out some, but it was mostly all Yondu. Then Yondu went on to catch the arrow on fire with a thought. It allowed him to fly, and even held back Ego for a while. However, if you're able to take down his fin, well, then Yondu is pretty easy to defeat.
I am Groot.
What's that?
He says, welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy. Only he didn't use frickin'.
Wong. Oh, Wong, you have so much potential, but yet you haven't shown any of it. You let the Hong Kong Sanctum fall. Didn't help at all when Doctor Strange reversed time, and in Infinity War, you just unleashed one spell before being taken down by Ebony Maw. You're a master of the mystic arts, and should easily be top 10, but you just don't have the feats to back it up. Implied power can only take you so far at the end of the day. Quicksilver. Quicksilver is definitely the fastest hero in the MCU. But even with that speed, he's not actually the smartest fighter. After all, he tries to grab Mjolnir and ends up taking himself out of the fight. And Quicksilver's punches actually don't pack a ton of power behind them. Like he wasn't able to take out Captain America, and he wasn't even able to take out Hawkeye. Then he's also not fast enough to dodge a bullet. So how powerful can this speedster really be?
You didn't see that coming.
Spider-Man. If this list came out a few movies from now, Spider-Man would be a whole lot higher. But Peter is still young and inexperienced, and that holds him back. He's powerful enough to take down Falcon and Winter Soldier, land attacks on Thanos, and even almost get the Infinity Gauntlet off of his hand. And his Iron Spider suit amped his power even more, giving him 4 additional limbs as well. Plus, Peter's actually quite the strategist, as he was the one who came up with the plan to defeat both Ant-Man and Ebony Maw. But if he's going up against a more experienced fighter, well then that's where Spider-Man's youth and inexperience works against him.
Nice job, kid.
Thanks. Well, I could have stuck the landing a little better. It's just a new suit. Wait, it's nothing. Mr. Stark, it's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't really need to start a conversation.
Okay. Captain? Big fan of Spider-Man?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Just...
Hey, everyone.
Good job.
Captain America. Captain America is the most unexpected beast that the MCU has. This man is something else altogether. Steve has been able to take down massive groups of men all by himself, keep fighting even through gunshots, lift a 10-ton steel beam, keep a helicopter from taking off, fight by himself against Ultron, defeat Spider-Man, defeat Iron Man, held his own against both Black Panther and War Machine, and held back Thanos' arm. And he held back Thanos all using his own brute strength. It's up for debate for how hard Thanos was actually trying at that moment, but the way I see it, there would really be no reason that the Mad Titan would be holding him back at all, considering that he was on a mission to get the Mind Stone before it was destroyed and all these people were in his way. Plus, even all that aside, I still hold that Captain America is the best fighter in the MCU. I almost wanted to put him higher on this list, but looking at everyone who was ahead, I just couldn't justify it.
Stay down. Final warning. I could do this all day.
Black Panther. Now, T'Challa is essentially a super soldier just like Cap, but his abilities come from magic instead of science. But even though they're both super soldiers, I would say that Steve is physically superior, simply because we've seen him display greater strength and durability. Cap is also a better fighter, since when T'Challa had the heart-shaped herb stripped away, he lost to Killmonger and was almost defeated by M'Baku. For having been trained to be a warrior since birth, it looks like he really relied on the heart-shaped herb and his tech to win fights. And it's the Wakandan tech that puts him above Cap at the end of the day. His suit is pretty much impenetrable, and also absorbs kinetic energy to unleash his attacks, and his vibranium claws are able to cut through almost anything. That tech is what helps to secure him this spot and puts him over Steve.
I never yielded! And as you can see, I am not dead!
Groot. Starting out at the top 10 is Groot. Groot is the muscle for the Guardians, whether he's an adult, a baby, or a teenager. He's able to control his body like no other, can create defenses and shields, stretch his limbs to where they pierce through opponents, and just straight up overpower people. Plus, Groot could be classified as immortal, since when he died in Guardians, a new baby Groot grew from his broken branch. Valkyrie. Number 9 is going to be Valkyrie. She's a member of the Valkyrie and is quite the skilled fighter, as we saw her defeat Loki in combat, and she was one of the only ones that was able to battle against Hela, the goddess of death, and survive. Plus, she has Guardian and is very strong, as she was able to rip off weapons from spaceships and knock the Hulk over while they were playing. However, what holds Valkyrie back is that she's limited to the ground and doesn't have any ranged weapons, being forced to battle, which is close combat. War Machine. Now, I've seen War Machine being ranked as low as middle of the pack on a list like this, and that is just so unfair to Rhodey. If War Machine fights in the air and keeps a safe distance from his opponents, well then he's a force to be reckoned with. He didn't have the best display up close against Captain America in Civil War, but you can't really hold that against him since Cap went on to take out Iron Man up close later on in the movie, and he was kicking ass up close in Iron Man 2. Overall, War Machine is an underrated badass.
Yes! Now this is gonna be a good story.
Yep. If you live to tell it.
You think I can't hold my own?
We get through this, I'll hold your own.
You had to make it weird.
Ant-Man. Speaking of underrated badasses, here's one of the most powerful heroes in the MCU that no one is really talking about. Ant-Man. Not only can he shrink down to the size of ants and even smaller, but he still remains his same mass, meaning that his punches can have the same force as a bullet. He can launch incredible snake attacks, dismantle someone's technology or weapons, and create anything around him into a weapon using his throwing discs. But what makes him really so powerful is his ability to turn into Giant Man. As Giant Man, he's able to reach over 60 feet tall, rip the wings off of an airplane, throw buses around, and take attacks like they're nothing. And even though he is a bit slow, it took the combined might of Iron Man, Spider-Man, and War Machine to take him down.
You can't see me.
I can see you.
He can see me.
Hi, I'm Scott.
Vision. Next up is everyone's favorite android. While Vision definitely didn't look too impressive in Avengers Infinity War, that could mostly be attributed to him being stabbed through the chest by a sneak attack and his phasing ability neutralized. And even then, he was still eventually able to kill his attacker at the end of the day. But it was really Age of Ultron and Civil War that cemented his place as a powerhouse in the MCU. For starters, he's able to manipulate his density, from where he's extremely tough to where he can phase right through a person. He can also partially phase through an object and disrupt it from the inside. Plus, Vision also has a freaking Infinity Stone in his forehead, which he can use to fire a powerful blast of energy that's on par with Iron Man's Repulsor Blast and Thor's Lightning. And oh yeah, he's worthy to wield Mjolnir. Can't leave that part out.
Maybe I am a monster. So there may be no way to make you trust me. But we need to go.
Hulk. Now we got the Green Goliath, the Hulk. He's definitely the strongest hero in the MCU, as he's physically overpowered Thor on several different occasions, and is really just unstoppable except by a few. He's smashed Loki, defeated the Abomination, brought down a Leviathan with one punch, battled against Thor, and battled against the Hulkbuster, which was specifically designed by Tony and Bruce in order to stop the Hulk. Hulk was also the Grandmaster's champion for over 2 years, which should imply that he won and killed a lot of dangerous opponents. However, Hulk was trashed by Thanos, so the big guy does have his limits. But it's not just the Hulk, but also Bruce Banner that takes him to the spot. The brains and the brawn. Bruce has got 7 PhDs, is one of the smartest men on the planet, and has actually proven that he can hold his own in a fight. Like in an Infinity War, it was Bruce in the Hulkbuster's suit who defeated the Black Dwarf, one of Thanos' children, that was even giving Iron Man in his bleeding edge armor a hard time.
Puny God.
Iron Man. Tony Stark, even without the suit, is a force to be reckoned with. But it's the fact that he's a suit made for every single occasion that puts him so high on this list. In just his regular suit, he's been able to battle on equal footing with Thor, destroy Leviathan, and he started out battling against the Chitauri army all by himself. He's also able to control his suit with his mind, unleash an army of suits which he can all control with the help of his AI pals, and arguably has more versatility and range of weapons than almost any other hero out there. He was able to battle against Ultron, and then in the Hulkbuster suit, Tony is the only hero on this list who has been able to successfully defeat Hulk, even though Thor technically would have. Then with his bleeding edge suit, well, man, oh man, that's just something else entirely. Tony can instantly summon his armor at will, and create any weapon that he can imagine, even stuff like swords or giant hammers. With this suit, he was even able to make Thanos the Mad Titan bleed. Remember, Thanos had trashed Hulk earlier in the movie.
Raise the missing mast. Ship to topsails. That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. How does Fury even see these?
He turns.
Sounds exhausting.
Scarlet Witch. Wanda is incredibly powerful, and she really received a massive power upgrade in Infinity War. Like in Age of Ultron, we just saw her destroying Ultron bots like everybody else, with the most impressive thing being ripping out Ultron's heart. Then in Civil War, she was flinging everyone around, which was cool, but really the best thing she did was pushing Vision into the ground or launching all the cars at Stark. Well, then comes Infinity War, and she's just on a whole other level. She's literally picking up and throwing down these massive spinning wheels of death, and moving multiple of them at the same time. Plus, Wanda can manipulate an opponent's mind, like she did with Black Widow, Captain America, and Thor. However, what's really holding Scarlet Witch back from making the number 2 or even number 1 spot is the fact that she can't hang at close range, like Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight were beating her in Vision until Cap, Falcon, and Widow stepped in to save the day, all of whom rank lower on this list than the 2 of them. Then in the Battle of Wakanda, Wanda was about to be killed by Proxima Midnight until Black Widow and Okoye stepped in to save the day. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is sitting pretty at the number 2 spot, and man is it well deserved. Strange has the potential to do practically anything just by casting the right spell, and he really doesn't have a limit. Like, Strange was able to successfully battle against Thanos with 4 Infinity Stones all by himself, and he did better than most everyone else combined. But what really makes Doctor Strange such a great Sorcerer Supreme and powerful hero is his creativity and ingenuity. This is why he's able to take down powerful threats, even threats that might be more powerful than him. He thought of the idea of using defibrillators to defeat another sorcerer in the astral plane, and then of course we all know about the legendary Dormammu scene.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
But just think about the scene and how clever it was. Dormammu is another worldly threat, and honestly there was no way that Strange and Mordo were going to overpower him. This was the only way to defeat him, and Doctor Strange was able to come up with it on the fly and save the day.
How long have you been at Kamar-Taj, Mr.
Doctor.
Mr. Doctor?
It's Strange.
Maybe. Who am I to judge?
Thor. Finally, we've got Thor. Now, in the earlier years of the MCU, I'll be the first to admit it, Thor was a bit weak. He didn't have his powers for most of the first movie, and wasn't able to take down Iron Man, and was kicked around by the Hulk and Avengers, didn't do anything insanely impressive in Thor 2, and was defeated by the Curse. And then he didn't have that great of a showing against Ultron, especially since Iron Man and Captain America were able to hold their own at least in their one-on-one encounters. But then came Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War. Losing Mjolnir might have been one of the best things to ever happen to him, because he learned not to be as dependent upon that hammer, and that his true power came within. And because of that, he was a ton more powerful. Then in Infinity War, he did go about crafting himself a new hammer, but this time it was Stormbreaker, and it was a ton more powerful. Or as Thor put it, the Thanos killing kind of weapon. Not only can he now summon the Bifrost at will, but Thor very nearly killed Thanos, and Thanos, even with the full might of the Infinity Gauntlet, couldn't stop Stormbreaker. In fact, if Thor had aimed for the head, then Thanos would be dead for sure. And looking at it like that, it's clear that Thor is in fact the most powerful Avenger and the most powerful hero in the MCU.
Yep, go ahead. Stay here and enslave people for that lunatic. Keep drinking, keep hiding. But me, I choose to run toward my problems and not away from them. That's what... Because that's what heroes do.
But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your list, so sign off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe button. More videos just like this one every single day, and I'll see y'all next time.